So for today's venture, you're going to need a webcam, a keyboard, a Raspberry Pi with Raspbian installed on the micro SD card, a mouse, some sort of power for your Pi, and a monitor, at least at first. I'm using a Pi Zero that I had lying around, so there's a couple extra things I needed, like for example an HDMI mini to HDMI cable so that I can connect to the monitor. I'm using a USB mini, or is it micro? Either way, the small one and the normal one. Then that's connected to a hub. That way I can use the keyboard and mouse and the camera, because the other USB goes to the power, and so you're kind of limited there. Another option is to do this headless with SSH and whatnot, and you change the file while you're installing this on the SD card itself. But this way is easier. Another useful thing is to do a sudo raspi config. And I guess you don't have to do it, but I find it useful for later in case there's any debugging to do. Go down to interfacing options and enable the SSH. So go to enable and yes. And then you're done. Next, make sure you do the sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. Then you need to grab the deb file. It's kind of weird grabbing a deb file from GitHub, but I guess you want a specific one. Suppose this is the best way to grab it. I'll put the link down below. So next you have to install all these packages. I'll have a link below. We had some issues installing those packages, but doing a sudo apt fix broken install seems to have fixed it. So now that you have the required packages, you can then install that main package. So next we gotta open up this motion.com file, and we gotta find, so this is gonna be like the main file for making changes in this system. So I'm gonna change daemon to on, and I have to find the stream one. So I'm just going to do Control W, stream localhost, change that to off, right, because we want to be able to see this from the outside. And there's other cool things in here, like, where is it? The threshold of the noise detection. This one's useful too, because sometimes you may want noise. You may want to capture smaller things and not care as much about the noise. So yeah. And when you're done, press Control X and then Y. So next, let's go to the motion file and change this to yes. And basically that'll be so that it's actually doing the motion detection. So then you do, Control X and then Y and then enter. Then you do sudo service motion start, and that will take it a second to get going. And then you're basically done at this point, so you can do ifconfig to figure out what your IP is. And if you're like me and using your LAN, your Wi-Fi card that's on the Raspberry Pi, it'll be this number. And so then we open up the internet. And this might take a second because we're using a Raspberry Pi Zero. Here is our webcam. I had to restart the service in order for it to work. At first it just wasn't connecting to anything. But yeah, you kind of open it up, you go there, you go to that web page. This might take a bit. But it's thinking, and there you have it. The webcam is recording video and putting it on that site.